Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you are doing awesome. Today, what I'm going to do is help you look at a concept, a framework around helping you look at big decisions going on in your business. No matter what industry you're in, but specifically us as insurance agency owners, there's a lot of change going on right now. And what I want to do is help you think through how do you make this something that's powerful for you? How do you make this something where you are positively influencing what's going on rather than you being in a situation where you're more being owned by it, or you're being put in a situation where you're sort of being determined, or your fate's being determined by how this is done. And so what I'm going to do is take you through a simple way to look at things. So first of all, there is a very simple idea as far as any business around, do you have control? Do you get to do what you want to do? You're an entrepreneur. You've chosen to really live the life you want, and are you getting to do what you want to do? So we're going to look at how do you make a decision without regret? How do you create a situation And so what I want to do is just share a little bit from a framework standpoint is for y'all to consider just in general, our industry, the P&C insurance, multi-line insurance industry. It's an industry I've been blessed to be a part of for over 40 years now. My dad is a successful multi-line insurance agency owner with State Farm. He's been a trophy winner with them. He's been a top agent. He's coming up on 49 years in about a few weeks. And I've been blessed to be in this model. I've worked in the claim side, the corporate side, the agency management side. I've also been able to work outside since 2000, so a little over 25 years, helping insurance agency owners. And a lot of the times they'll get really super focused on what's important according to company goals and company standards. And I'm not against that. But at the end of the day, you didn't start your business based off of what the company wanted for you. You did it because of you. No team members working for you because of they want you to go to Tahiti. They're looking to make sure they're taken care of. And so I want you to consider that, again, just at the very beginning, this is a 20-year decision you're looking at right now for some of y'all. It's not a short decision. It has huge implications. Some of y'all might not have been in business this long. Some of you have. And so I want you to first consider that part. And then the next thing I want you to think about is what this looks like for your insurance agency and what it looks like beyond here. And so if you look about this, your decision about your contract, about what's most important to you, about what's coming up for you, that's going to be based on what you and your family can do and what you most want for your team members, your loved ones. And my goal is to help you make a decision that you're going to be happy with, you're going to be proud of, you're going to be glad you made 20 years from now. And so if you look at the cost of a business decision, any sort of decision, it's going to impact more than just the numbers. There's your faith, what's most important to you outside of your business, your relationship, if you happen to have one, with God, with the universe, with whatever is important to you, your relationship in that way. Your family or your loved ones. Sometimes we don't always see eye to eye with our families, so I'll also use the word loved ones. Your friends, your freedom. One of the main reasons we as entrepreneurs start businesses is to have freedom, and so we can do what we want. Having fun in life, and then also your goals, your dreams, and the legacy you want to leave behind. And so many insurance agency owners that I work with, when something happens, when a hurricane hits, when a huge rate increase comes, when their compensation rate decreases, they forget the business model that they're in. They forget that they're in a long-term business model that is residual income based, that has 10-year, 20-year, and sometimes 100-year horizons in how we see the world. And so even within our companies, whether we love, sometimes don't love, or see eye to eye with the executives or the people making decisions in our companies, we know that most insurance companies, if you're one that's been around for a while, they've figured out how to make some decisions. They've done a lot of things right. They might still get a couple things wrong. They might overreact. They might sometimes react too quickly to something. But usually if you look at it, there's been some thought that goes into it. And so what I'm going to suggest to you is that going forward, you allow yourself to process some of the emotions. Give yourself a deadline. So maybe you give yourself a day or 2 days and you say, look, I'm going to share all the things that are annoying me, that are really just, I'm going to write my letter. I'm not going to send it, but I'm going to write the letter. I'm going to get out all the things I'm frustrated about. They said this was going to happen. I thought this was going to happen. The market said this was going to happen. Get all of that out. Get your F-bombs out, whatever it is that you need to do, and then decide that you're going to move forward. And then from there, then we can start looking at what is it that it's really going to impact. And these are the things that I'm going to share with you after this call, a workbook that will help you process and really think through these. But I want you to just consider at the moment that these different things that are going to impact you, first of all, how is your decision about how you look at the changes going on in your industry, the contract changes, whatever it might be, how's that going to affect your financial situation? Now that's one piece. And some of you might say, wait, that's all I'm thinking about right now. My commissions are going to change. They're going to go lower. Or if I don't hit certain targets, I'm going to lose some money. What's that going to do to me? What's that going to do to my team members, my family? And I'm going to suggest that that's just one part of it. Another part is how is this going to impact your time and your schedule? I've watched, being from Florida, our insurance agency industry stare death in the eye at least 2 or 3 times so far. We had Hurricane Andrew. That was, 32 years ago, coming up in this August. No, 34 years ago, back in 92. And we saw a huge shift in our marketplace. And at that time, some agents just retired right after that. So many thought, well, party's over, it's gone, we're done. And yet it wasn't. So many agency owners I work with, especially multi-line insurance agency owners, said, you know what, we're going to double down on what it is that we do most and what we do best, which is help people look at the big situation, not their stuff, but their income, their loved ones, their assets. And I can still do that. I can still have a schedule that allows me to be a business owner, that allows me to enjoy time with my family and friends. And this is still one of the best business models to do that. We've also had other challenges over the years, whether it be AI automation or the threat of that, challenge from online marketers, challenge from the apps and different things like that, and then just exposure management and changes. So these are things that you want to consider. And then the next thing, how is this going to impact your relationships? So for most of you, the relationships are going to be what's most important. The relationships with your team members, the relationship with your family members, your loved ones, your spouse, your partner, your kids. And so just because you might be a little upset that things didn't turn out the way you wanted to with a certain conversation, it doesn't mean that it's time for you to abandon all these things and then say, well, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm mad, and yet forget that, hold up. Yeah, this is a business, and there might be some things that didn't go the way I want, but overall, This is supporting my relationships and allowing me time to be with the people I love most and care about most. And so also just the concept around my emotional well-being. Yes, I need to give myself some time to perhaps vent if I'm frustrated by some of these things. But how long do I do that? How long do I sit there and stew and perhaps get myself sick or get myself tired or low energy or perhaps even a disease or whatever it might be if the idea of what we think about expands and just focusing on bad things creates bad things? How do I want that to be? My career and my growth. For so many of us as business owners, I've been working as an entrepreneur over 25 years now, and I've started a couple businesses. Some have lasted, some haven't. And overall, if you were to say to me tomorrow, Wade, you need to go tomorrow and start a business from scratch in an industry you've never been in and try to do financially what you're doing and try to have the lifestyle and the efficiency and the scale and the team member support and the rhythm and the balance of work and life and family and the impact in your clients' lives. I can't do that right away. And again, me getting all upset if there's variables I can't control. If you're an independent insurance agency owner, well, somebody's providing your products and they might change your comp rates. If you're a captive agent, you have even more that's being provided for you, and perhaps there's more guardrails of what you can or can't do. But let's be clear, you signed on for a certain business model, you decided, yeah, I'm gonna do this. And then from that, you have the opportunity to either grow with it and run with it or decide you wanna do something different. But overall, looking at how your decision is gonna impact your career and your growth, again, not just this year, but 20 years from now, what does that look like? One of the favorite concepts I've heard from one of my mentors, Dan Sullivan, the gentleman who runs a company called Strategic Coach, is the idea of if you're looking at retirement as something that you're going to enjoy more, but you're not engaged, you're probably going to get bored. If you're an entrepreneur, you're in that top 10% of most driven, type A-ish, restless, need to create something, need to be doing something type of people. And I've watched so many insurance agency owners retire and then just be so bored, so tired. I like to use the concept, if it's men need their bat cave, men need their castle, their place to go and do things and be creative. And in the United States, at least, the average life expectancy of a man after he retires is 2 years. And for the ones that don't last very long, that's an average. So of course, some do longer, some do shorter. But the ones who don't last very long, they lose their purpose. They lose what they're doing. And think about, if you ever saw a bird and it stopped flying, is that a good sign? Nope. You ever see a fish and it stopped swimming? Not a good sign. So as humans, we create, we think, we engage, we impact people's lives, we connect with people. And so your career and your growth, being able to see a 20-year vision and saying, wow, maybe I'm only halfway there, but going back to the point from Dan Sullivan, you'd say, look, how do you feel right now? Or how do you want to feel when you're about to retire? And his clients would say, well, I want to be energetic and fit and happy and healthy and all these things. And he'd say, well, great. So if you're doing the things that help you be energetic and fit and all those pieces, are you going to want to retire? And the answer is probably not. And so what we want to do is consider all of these pieces, look at how this affects your physical health and the interplay. The idea of perhaps earlier in your career, you might have worked too many hours, but if you're running your agency in a certain way, there's a good chance you're not having to work 60 hours a week anymore. Certainly, there's many insurance agency owners working anywhere from 5 hours a week to 50 hours a week, and you can have success, multi-line sales success, hitting company targets at any of those income levels and any of those hours of time, and still have a health that keeps growing. My father's 83. He just passed the CHFC about 6-7 months ago. He's been working on it for a few years. It's been a dream of his to do that. He had a CLU. He wanted to do a CHFC. He's still engaged. He's still growing. It's keeping him healthy. Personal growth. What are you here to do? What are you on the planet for? What are you here to contribute for? And so again, the hope for me in this conversation is to help you look at what are the things you want to be doing and really take away this possible perhaps victim mindset of, well, something just happened to me or they did something to me, and say, okay, what do I want this to look like? You've gotten here by setting goals, by deciding what you're going to do, by what you're going to make happen. Let's keep that framework. Let's continue growing as an individual, knowing that you can grow as an individual and as a person who's helping other people in your profession. And then finally, what is that legacy and that long-term impact you want to have on people's lives? What does that look like? And how does that tie in to what you're doing right now Do you want to be that huge part of people's lives? Do you want to be able to show your kids, hey, this is how we grow a business? Do you want to be able to show the people in your community, hey, this is how I can look out for you? And so again, before you make any crazy decisions, I encourage you to consider a few things. And I want to set the frame for this if I didn't at the beginning well enough. All these things, I'm happy to help you look at your process, your decision, where you're at. And so you can always message me after the call, and there'll be a way you can get in touch with me to create time for us to discuss your agency and your situation. Look at that. But again, right now, I just want to focus on, for the next, until September 30th, helping y'all make the best decision. You, your friends, your peers, make the best decision for you and your family. So what I want you to think about now is a couple things. First of all, this image on the right. If you make decisions that align with all the different areas of your life, you realize that the financial is only one part of it. It's a sliver. It's not the whole thing. You've made less in the past. Maybe you've made more in the past, but you figured out how to do this. And again, the same way we coach our clients to pay themselves first and make sure they're taking care of their income, their loved ones, and their assets, and plan for their retirement, and all these different things, we can do that for ourselves as well. And so what I want you to consider as you look forward and you project into the future, to consider, first of all, what's the best case? What if everything goes right? What if this is one of those opportunities where the people who were kind of half committed decided, you know what, I'm out. I was going to retire anyway. Things are getting too tough for me. It's too tight. I just need to leave. What if they leave? What do they leave behind? They leave behind clients. They leave behind awesome team members that still want to work. They leave behind market share. So there's that. And what if you just simply say, you know what? Gosh, every 10 or 15 years, I'm probably going to have to, on some level, reinvent myself. I've not had to do it in a crazy way. Back in 2005 to 2008, when so many entrepreneurs were losing 40, 50, 60% of their business income, or their whole businesses. In the multi-line insurance industry, we were like, yeah, my income went down 3% or 2%, or it didn't go down. So again, we've had so many different things that have worked in our favor. What if it continues to go well and this is just another hiccup? You've seen hiccups before, right? So what I want you to do is consider that. The second thing, what's most likely to happen? Well, most likely, or maybe if you'd say, chances are it's a little tougher, you have to adjust. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt in the short run. Change isn't always fun, but you probably figure things out. You figured things out before. Why would you all of a sudden not know how to figure things out? And then worst case, what happens if things go wrong? Can you survive it? What if your income does go down 10%? What if it does go down 20%? Can you make adjustments for that? I mean, right now, the people perhaps most in danger are the team members, right? Who might or might not be able to make things happen. You're the agency owner. You're you're first in, you're last out, right? So you're not going anywhere anytime soon. As long as you can figure this out, you're going to be fine. And again, you've seen things like this before. If you've been around for even more than a couple years, you've seen changes. And this is what makes us as entrepreneurs able to be successful. Our ability to adapt, our ability to do things differently. So again, I'm going to go back to a theme in a slightly different way. And I'm going to invite you to consider, what is it that you're really optimizing for? Why did you become an entrepreneur? Why did you become an insurance agent? What is it that you really want? And if you look at it, you're probably going to find that one of the things you look for is, I want more money. So are you optimizing for more financial abundance? Are you optimizing for more time and flexibility? Is that very important right now? Depending on your stage. Are your kids at an age where you're like, I want to make sure I get time with my kids? Or maybe you're like me, you're at a stage where the kids are kind of, one's in college, one's last year of high school, and yet I look back on my career as an entrepreneur and say, gosh, I've been given so much freedom in the past from my path, and I still want more freedom, and this is going to give me more of that. Am I looking to optimize for impact and influence? This is something, again, I'm in my early 50s, and this is something that's really hit me between the eyes more recently of just, and I don't know, maybe women go through this too, but as the male, as the provider of the house, like, okay, I've got to make stuff happen, and being so focused, head down, like, okay, I've got to provide for my family. And maybe at times somebody could say, well, Wade, you haven't been volunteering as much other than, let's say, coaching beach volleyball, or you haven't been out in the community as much. And I have to say, because I've just been so focused on the immediate people around me. And yet now, as kids are getting older, and I have the ability to reach more people and help more people and impact more people, and I have the bandwidth to do that. Is that what I want out of life? Is that what's going to keep me young? That's what's going to keep me hopping and energetic and happy for the next 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years? I think it's going to. Do you still want more freedom and independence? If you're an insurance agency owner who's been around for more than 5 years and you're working more than 30 hours a week, I don't want to say you're doing it wrong, but I can definitely tell you it can be done better. If you want more free time, that's possible. If you want more ability to do what you want, that's possible. And then finally, are you optimizing for more purpose and more fulfillment? Do you really want a more fulfilled life, or do you just want more money? I think most of us are saying, yeah, I want that multiple balance. I want that multidimensional life. I want to be able to have different parts of my life that are awesome and to be able to optimize that. And so I don't like to spend a lot of time on what if things go wrong and worst case scenarios, but let's go there for a little bit. Let's talk about that. So let's talk about what would be something you might regress. So imagine it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, from 20 years from now. What would make you proud about how you handled this challenge that's in front of you? If you were talking to yourself 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and things worked out, what would you be telling yourself? Oh yeah, you know what? I dealt with it. Hey, I talked to my friends who've decided they were just going to figure it out, and we figured it out, and we supported each other. Or we formed a mastermind study group, or we helped each other out, or I just doubled down, or I did more research on AI. Rather than fearing AI, I went all in on ChatGPT and Claude and all those tools, and I figured this stuff out. And I just decided to continue to be in that top 20%, even that top 50%, that's always going to be fine. Because my company, they can't let go of 50% of the people. It's way too much. I just need to be in that top group, right? You don't have to be faster than the bear. You got to be faster than the slowest person, right? So what would disappoint you? Oh man, things got tough. I got really ticked off. Oh God, I was so mad. I was so mad. And I made a decision while I was angry. And I made a decision that had just long-term repercussions because I was just ticked off. And I lost sight of a concept. I thought that in some way, somebody was out to get me. The company wanted to get me. And yeah, there might be one or two people that think, you need to go, right? I don't know. Maybe if you're an aggressive person, maybe there'll be multiple people that don't like you. But in general, a company that's got thousands and thousands of people, they're not obsessing over you. Hate to break it to you, right? You're not that important. I'm not that important. And yet, would it or would it not disappoint you if you're like, man, I just made a decision out of anger and I made a quick decision, because guess what? You can always retire tomorrow. But once you pull the plug on this business that you've built for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, you can't just jump back in. Even if you want to go into a different company, there's non-competes. There's a time it takes to get up and going. So really, again, how far does the anger go? How personal does it get? And maybe the other person, the executive, even the person that made the decision, you're like, man, I'm so ticked with them. What if they're just doing the best for themselves and their family and their loved ones? What if they're also doing the best for what they think is best for the company? What if they're right? What if they're wrong? Right? So we're all kind of doing our best. If you stay there, it can make it easier. What would you regret if you perhaps burnt bridges of relationships or spoke to people in a way you didn't want to, or all of a sudden took it on your team members and started cutting their benefits, or just started getting nasty with people, right? You've built these relationships for decades. What would it look like? And do you want to be that? Versus what would your future self thank you for if you handle things right? Right, not in some moral code, but in the way that helps you get where you want to go and be who you want to be and have that be as powerful as possible. So want to focus on two more things and then just open an invitation to help you and then open an invitation for questions. So common mistakes, and this happens in so many businesses, not just in our business model, but as entrepreneurs, as people. First of all, making a life decision based only on money, right? Most of us at some point have decided there's certain things I won't do for money. I won't sell drugs. I won't sell people into slavery. I won't traffic kids, right? Those are some extreme examples. But no, I'm not just going to make a money-based decision. I won't do people wrong to make money or intentionally do people wrong for money, right? So making a life decision based on money in and of itself, not good. Whether that's who you marry, what school you go to, what business model you choose, whatever it might be. Second thing, making a long-term decision based on short-term emotions. I'm so ticked off. They're going to see how ticked off I am, and they're going to see. No, they're not. They're not going to care, man. You, me, we're another person in tens of thousands, and that's not meant to be a bad thing. It's kind of a good checks and balance, right? You're not that important, I'm not important, and yet we are. To the people in our community, nearby to us, the people we can impact, we're extremely important, but we're not so important that we can break the whole thing. Third, choosing from fear. And this is where probably the biggest group that I'm concerned about right now. And I'm going to turn this off for a second and really kind of zoom in on you here. The whole fear thing. So let's talk about this for a second. Let's understand where you're at. If you're an insurance agency owner with a successful long-term, let's say Fortune 50 company, and you've been doing this 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you are already in the top % of entrepreneurs on the planet, of business people on the planet, and of wealthiest people on the planet. And I'm not saying that to tell you to feel grateful or not. You choose to feel grateful or not. That's up to you. It'll probably make you feel better, but that's up to you. But here's what I want you to get. Somewhere in the World Cup right now that's going on, there's some player on a team that barely qualified. They barely made it. And that player's saying, man, gosh, I'm just on the team that barely qualified. Or I'm on the team that didn't win the whole World Cup. Or I come off the bench. And we'd be like, whoa, buddy, you're in the World Cup, man, right? So you're in an organization, you're in an industry, you've been doing this where you are one of those people. Now, if you compare yourself constantly, you might have heard the saying, comparison's the thief of joy. If you're constantly comparing yourself to, all those other people, and yes, many companies will publish the list of who's selling what, and if you're at the bottom of the list, you might be like, man, Wade, that does not make me feel good. Understood. All good. We're big boys, we're big girls, no big deal. We say, look, in the overall scheme of things, first of all, if you're in the United States, your abundance level compared to the people in the world, it's pretty high. If you're a business owner, you're in that top 10% of people who are most competent, and you're a stable business owner if you've been around, and most able, and most willing to initiate things, most autonomous, have the most freedom. So you're in a situation where already, if we talk freedom, income, and lifestyle, you are a 1%er in the United States of America, just the US. In the world, you're a 0.1%. You're a hundredth of a percent. I don't even know the math, right? Of the combination of income, freedom, lifestyle. And then you add to that all the things that are awesome if you're in the United States or Canada or any of these countries like that, where there's so many things that allow us to do the things we want, despite the things that annoy us. There's so much going on. So I want you to think about it. You are already killing it. You're already doing awesome. If you've ever seen the movie Swingers with Vince Vaughn and John Favreau, you're so money and you don't even know it. You're already doing so well. So stop comparing yourself to the people around you. Stop putting yourself in a situation where you say, they're better, and because of that, I'm not very good. Not true. And so going back to this, choosing from fear, the fear of not being enough, the fear of not being the best, the fear of what if my income goes down a little? Well, you'll figure that out. You figured out everything else to this point, right? Yeah. So let's stay in that place and that mindset rather than going the other direction. This one is so huge, and this goes back to things that you might regret. The impact it'll make on your family and your team members. And you might say, Wade, some of my family are my team members and some of my team members are my family, right? And you might say, right now, I don't feel like the company's my family anymore. There's a couple people who work in the company, they feel like family, but the rest of them don't. Okay. And maybe you've been in a company that you've been blessed over 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, where it's felt like family, and you forgot that at the end of the day, a business is an organization. It's a thing. Its goal is to preserve itself. It's not always kind. Doesn't mean it's nasty. It's not always loving. Doesn't mean it's hurtful. But for you to just all of a sudden say, what about me? What about me? What about me? And forget that there's perhaps the spouse or the partner who supported you along the way. The team members you support along the way. What about their situation? And what if, for a moment, you just say, you know what? Again, I've got 30 days, 60 days, 90 days to make this decision. I'm just going to take one day at a time. What if you bring in, whatever it is, the combination of 3 and 4, what if you bring in your faith? What if you bring in your relationship with God, the universe, whatever that you do, you pray, you meditate, you listen, whatever it is, you listen for guidance. What if you do that and start listening to that and looking at how can you still support the people who've supported you along the way? And then what if you can also then be open to, hey, God, universe, friends, family, ChatGPT, AI, what are the options I have? Am I missing some things? Because man, I'm just in this hole right now. I'm so frustrated. I'm so ticked off. I feel like I've been missing something. Help me think through this, man. So there's so much to do there. And so what I'm going to suggest to you is going forward, so much of this and how this turns out is going to be about you deciding to do what you most want. And so I'm going to invite you to create your personal framework of what you want your decision to be. Not mine, not somebody else's, not ChatGPT's. And for you to decide, what are your top 3 priorities that you want out of life, out of business, out of everything? What are your top 3 concerns? And what are your top 3 opportunities? Right? What are the things that you can actually take action on? And I want to invite you, and at this point, I'm a coach. I do a lot of different work. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a workshop leader. There's all sorts of things I'm doing, and I have been spending hours talking to people, talking to clients, talking to fellow agency owners. Hey, how can I best help? And I designed this program, then I designed that program, and I play with it. And right now, the feedback I keep getting is, Wade, help me and help my peers think through this decision before September 30th, make the best decision possible we can, and then we'll figure out kind of the rest from there. And so what I want to do is invite you to do a couple things, and I'm going to share with you at least a framework or a concept of some of the resources we have that might help you. I'm just going to mention them, but I'm just going to start it by saying, if you need help, message me, right? If you say, wait, I saw this, I want the workbook from today's questions. All right, message me. I want whatever else you have. Just send me a message, because right now, admittedly, I'm overwhelming myself, and even ChatGPT told me, dude, you're overthinking this. You're trying to predict everybody's needs. Just ask them what they want help with. And so what I invite you to do is, whatever way you're seeing this, if you're seeing this on social media, reach out to me on social. If you want to, you want to email me, you can email me. If you want to message me, you can message me, whatever it might be. But get in touch with me, and I'm going to put up here, let me just see here. I think I did, yep, let's do this. So I'm going to put that there. Let's do, where we go. Boom. Whoops, nope. Let's do that. So, Wade at automaticinsuranceagency.com. So again, if you're on social, you could message me through social, whatever. But if for whatever reason you can't find how to get in touch with me, in fact, let's put that back up there. You can go to Wade at automaticinsuranceagency.com and just message me. And we can schedule time to talk. We can schedule time to look at what is the best situation for you, your agency, your loved ones, your family. I've been coaching for over 25 years. I know most of the questions. I've had these conversations. And then the same way that if someone were coming to you and saying, "Man, how do I protect and make sure that if I get hit by a drunk driver that my family's protected? Or how do I make sure if I die prematurely that my family's going to be okay? Or how do I make sure that if I get sick or hurt that my income is protected?" You're like, that's what I do. I know those answers. So I'm not as concerned at the moment with what kind of financial thing comes out of this for me at whatever time it does or doesn't. What I want to do is this. I want to extend you an offer that A, reach out to me, and B, to let you know I'm building a community, an online community, and I'm going to be separating. Some people are going to be more independent agents where they don't have a captive, and then some of y'all, if you're coming from a captive company, it'll be just for the captive agents in your company. So there's a level of privacy and the ability to just have conversations in there. But I'm going to be building a community to help you look at and make these decisions with each other to support each other as best as possible. You can check out all my social media and all the other content that's out there, my podcast, go to the website. There's all these different things. But what I'm going to be doing to help you all prepare for 2028 and what's coming up is my main focus. And so I'm just going to use the basic sort of concept of, back if you were around before the turn of the millennium, excuse me, we had this conversation about, is something Y2K compatible? And I'm going to suggest to you that my focus is to help you make your agency Y28 compatible and be in such a strong position to where you choose what you do. You don't let the market decide. You don't let the company contract changes decide. You don't let whatever else is, the hurricane, the AI, the whatever it is. I want you to be in a position where if you choose to retire, that you choose to retire. If you choose not to retire, you choose not to retire. And even more so, if you decide, wait, even better, I'd love to have an agency that looks a lot like retirement and feels like retirement, where I come in for 10 hours, 20 hours a week and I help people, or 5 hours or whatever it is, but we're still helping people. We're making an impact. I'm making a difference. And I still want my back cave, Wade. I still want my castle. I still want a place to hang out and connect with people. Again, go ahead and reach out to me in here or in the messages. I hope you, your family, your loved ones are doing awesome. I hope you're taking care of yourself during this time. I hope you're getting sleep. I hope you're making sure that you're getting advice from people, whether it's from me, from somebody else, from friends, people who are level-headed, people who are moving forward. I encourage you to do that. I hope everything's well in your universe. Whatever I can do to help me, just let me know. God bless, and I look forward to helping you create the life, the business, and the legacy you most desire.